Hello, everyone. It is Emily with Claim Brilliance, and I am excited today because I am providing a presentation, if you will, of 5 beliefs that we have that keep us stuck. And the reason why this is so important is because we only have one life to live, and time is the only resource that we can't get back. And so we want to be able to look at our beliefs and then analyze like where they came from. And so in today's teaching, that is what we're going to do is what are they and where did they come from and how do we resolve them? So let's get straight into it. The first belief that we have that keeps us stuck is it's not worth the price. So with anything that we want to accomplish, there's usually a sacrifice. And that sacrifice, if we don't think that the outcome is worth the sacrifice, then it can keep us stuck. A lot of times we don't know what the price of it is, but we also have never usually been where we want to go. And so the price could feel like it is too steep. All right, the second one is not enough resources. So time and money is typically the ones that we blame or we use when we feel like we get stuck. We can't move forward is because we feel like either we don't have enough time or we don't have enough finances, money. And so that's the second thing that we use as an alibi, if you will. This third one, it won't work for you or you are broken. I used to think that this was true for me, that that I was broken, that I was different somehow. And so I want to tell you a little bit of my story. I went and hired a coach for my health and fitness. And when he asked me what I wanted, like what's your goal, I had lost all hope that I could actually release weight because I had tried and failed and tried and failed and tried and so and so and so on and so on and so on. Done so many different things, tried so many different things to release the weight that when I actually went to get the help that I needed, I felt like I was broken. I felt like it doesn't matter. I hired you because at this point, I just want to make sure that when I'm old, I don't fall and hurt myself. So I told him, I said, my biggest hope that I'm hoping that you can help me with is my balance. So my balance wasn't great. And I kept stumbling a little bit. And so I was like, okay, I need to work on my balance. And so I was lying to myself and I was lying to him, but I felt so broken. I felt like everything I did was worthless. And so when I went to talk to him, I actually thought this. And then, thank goodness, he's a really good coach. And he was like, okay, we will work on your balance, like you said. And I'm also going to give you other resources and teach you how to get stronger and also release the weight. But at that point, I didn't believe him because I really thought that I was broken, that it wouldn't work for me. And so, but I also was like, I've tried everything else. What do I have to lose? And so, anyways, feeling like you're broken, number one, you're not alone, and that it won't work for you, there's always an answer. You just have to know where to look. All right. The fourth is I'm not enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not whatever, talented enough. I'm not the right gender. I'm not the right age, looks, all of those things. So this is another one that keeps us stuck, and it is just a belief. And so there's that one. And then the last one that there's more, but the last one that I'm going to touch upon is the effort will not result in my desired outcome. That has a lot to do with this. It's not worth the effort, but it is different. So just like it won't work for me is attached to this one, which is the effort. It won't work for me. It won't give me what I desire, and so it's not worth the effort. If we don't feel like we're going to get what we desire, then we won't put in the time, we won't put in the money, we won't put in the effort, because why would we do something if it's not going to work? And so these are the 5 beliefs that keep us stuck. And my daughter, bless her heart, she wrote bad programming with a sad face. Love her, but she's hilarious, so we'll give it to her. All right, so let's talk about where beliefs come from. And I have half of a diagram here that we are going to color. Okay, I've got my markers. All right, so what are beliefs? When we came to this earth as tiny little babies, we were blank slates. We didn't believe, we didn't have any belief, and we didn't have any programming. We were just blank little computers. But we gathered information, and that information we got through our senses. So sight, what we hear, taste, smell, and touch. All of these, our senses, is how we gather information. Okay. And so that is, and it's neutral. Okay. There's the facts are not good nor bad. They're just there. And so what happens is when we experience something, when we experience a fact, I'm going to draw this really quick. This is for sale, by the way. All of my drawings are always for sale. Okay. So what happens is we attach a focus point, and either the focus is a negative or it is a positive. Okay? But it's our perception. So the fact is just the fact, and if a person will take swimming, if a person has a negative association with the water, what they see, what they smell, what they hear, what they feel, if they focus on the scary, then they will have a negative experience. But if they focus on the positive, like swimming and being in the water and cooling down and all of the things, I'm a water baby, and so I focus on the positive. But the facts are just the facts, and then what we associate with that fact. And so what happens is this leads to focus. Okay, so if we focus on the negative, then we will have a bad experience. If we focus on the positive, we will have a good experience. And this focus can either make us happy, or it can make us feel sad. Okay. Give us the blues, so I'll use blue. Okay. So it can make us feel happy, or it can make us feel sad or experience. So bad or good. Okay. And then what happens there is we create a belief. So I want to use something else. I think I'll use purple. What happens is at this point, we create a belief. Okay. This belief generates, just like two sides of a coin, this belief, we either gain, if it's positive, we gain faith. And if it's negative, it creates doubt. Okay? So positive equals faith and negative equals doubt. And that's the focus of the fact. And it's all in how we perceive something. And so what happens with this belief is it travels down and it creates a feeling. It creates a feeling. So feeling okay. Feelings are from the heart. Okay. So, yeah. And so that feeling, when we feel something, it makes us move. It creates action. Feelings they travel. And so just like faith and doubt, they travel into feelings. Our feelings create either action or inaction. So if we focus on the negative, and let's take water, okay? If we focus on the negative and we focus that feeling, you're going to have doubt. So you're going to doubt that you'll be safe in the water, right? You'll doubt that water is safe. And that is a belief. You don't believe that that is safe. That belief turns into feelings. And I'm going to use the red. That feeling goes into the heart and it creates an action, or in this case, inaction or no action. Okay? Creates inaction or no action because we don't want to do things that are scary. We don't want to put our lives in jeopardy. We steer clear, and we just don't. We preserve ourselves by the beliefs. Now, I'm going to use blue because we're going to focus on the positive. Positive, this creates faith, and when faith enters the heart, I'm going to go right here. Okay. It turns into action. All right. So this feeling actually transfers into our hands. Okay. Into our hands. And that in our hands is what we call action or no action or inaction. I put inaction like you're in action, but it means no action. And so this is really important because it's all a perception. It's all how we interpret things that happen to us, and bad things happen to all of us. We all have trauma, whether big or small. If you have big trauma, go get help because it's important. But if the small trauma, it's just what we're focusing on. And this is really important. And so when it comes to feeling stuck, it's all like not worth the price. That's a belief that makes us procrastinate. Okay. It makes us inaction, like no action at all. Because why would we do something that if it's not worth the price, right? Or if it not enough resources, if we feel like we're going to hurt ourselves financially, or it's not worth the time, or it will take too long. That was another thing I used to look at. Man, I have to lose 100 pounds. 100 pounds is so overwhelming. I don't think that there's enough time, or I don't know that it's worth the price. I don't know. I've tried for years and years and years, and I just don't know that I'm willing to use my resource to try anymore, because I'm broken and, I'm not talented enough. I'm getting too old. Hormones and gender and age and all those things. And so why would I put in the effort if the result isn't going to end up with the desire that I want? And so going back to this page, this is interesting, okay? What happens is if you have a feeling that you're supposed to do something and it's faith-filled, right? And you don't do it and you are no action. I'm going to put that because I think that that's important that I correct that. No action, okay? If you don't take action on something that you feel is important, then this creates anxiety. Anxiety is a perceived future event that hasn't happened yet, but you have a story. All right. And when we don't take action, it can create anxiety. But when we take action, then this is the byproduct of accomplishment, creation, joy, service. There are so many things that happen in our lives when we take action, even when we're scared, even when it's scary. Do a little something, something. So I was listening to a book today that talked about doing things that are scary. And what he says is to don't like, and this is with anything. So diet, right? A lot of us have the all or nothing. And so we focus on the positive and we go gung ho and it goes crazy. And then we believe it will work. But when it doesn't work as fast as we believe it will, then we create doubt. And that doubt brings feelings of sadness and no hope and all of those things, right? No hope. Okay, because we don't take action. And so when we have those feelings, then it's kind of a loop, and we loop ourselves into this spiral, and that spiral, it can create this anxiety. Okay, it can create this anxiety, but if we do the little things over time amount to big things. And so action, what he says to do is do 2% of whatever it is that you are procrastinating. 2%, I'm just going to put better. 2% action, inaction. Okay. 2% inaction creates big results over time. And so what he gave an example of, if you are afraid, of something, say public speaking, for instance, then what you would do is you would just start little, like saying hi to a stranger in the supermarket in line, or a neighbor that you haven't talked to. You would go and introduce yourself, and then you would take it a step further and a step further and a step further until you are talking to a lot of people. And then that constant exposure. So in my own life, I used to be afraid of fish. So my grandfather, bless his heart, I was swimming in a gully at his house, and he came down to the gully, and I'm where I can't touch. I'm about 7 years old. And he made a comment that I believed was true. And so I was a blank slate, right? I was in water, that was the fact. And I knew that there were fish, which is also a fact, right? And so I was focused though on swimming and having a really good time. And then my grandfather came and he made a comment when I was young: don't let the fish nibble on your toes. Well, as a little kid, I didn't know, it was neutral. I didn't know that fish could hurt you, but I believed my grandfather. And so that belief became fear or doubt. I started focusing on the scary things, and that fear became doubt, became, yeah. Anyways, and so I focused on the doubt, and it created a feeling. That feeling became anxiety. So, of a story that was playing in my head about what would happen if I swam with fish. Okay, that was a good example, right? And so what happened was little exposure at a time. So I still swam because I'm a water baby. So what I would do, my poor family, what I would do is I would have my siblings jump in first, and then I would believe believe that doing that action would scare the fish away. And so at that point, I had faith, and I had a feeling that we were going to have fun and that it was all safe. And so our subconscious is really super powerful. Well, what happened was I was exposed over time to fish. And so I got to the point where I could swim with fish if I could see them. Like little fish didn't scare me, like whatever. But it was the bigger, like trout and carp and those type of fish that I was like, they can hurt me, because I had that feeling, and I had no hope. I had no faith that the fish weren't going to hurt me. Anyways, long story short is I went to the Bahamas with my daughter, and she wanted to go swim with sharks. And I was like, I'm obsessed with sharks. I love sharks, but was totally like, they're a big fish, right? And I know that they can hurt you. And so I was like, okay, I need to go ahead and just do this. I need to do this. And so I exposed myself to one of the most dangerous predators in the ocean, and I could see them. And the first shark that I ever truly swam with, to my knowledge, was were the nurse sharks. So back when we lived in Utah, I used to go with my husband to snorkel at what's called Sea Base, and they had a nurse shark in there, but I didn't realize, like I knew, but I didn't, like we didn't ever see it or anything. And so I was like, no, I'm good. And I would keep my hands tucked because their angels were like this big. Their angelfish were like this big. And my husband would take the lettuce, and you could feed him lettuce, and he would take the lettuce, and I felt safe because I had a wetsuit on. And so I would tuck my hands, and I would tuck my hands, and kind of shields myself from these big fish. And so that was one exposure. I remember coming out of the water, and I turned around and I saw the tail of the nurse shark go down, and it freaked me out because I was just there. Nurse sharks won't hurt you, but in my head, a fish is a fish is a fish is a fish, and I didn't know that. And so fast forward, and I go to the Bahamas, and I pay for this excursion where we are going to be surrounded by nurse sharks. And I learned a little bit more about them at this point and knew that they weren't going to hurt me. Like, they gave you guidelines and stuff, and so they weren't going to hurt me. So I felt safe jumping into the water, and it was amazing. It was awesome. So I'm swimming with these nurse sharks, and there's like 30 of them, and they're swimming everywhere, and one goes between my legs. I'm treading water, so we're in water that we can't touch the bottom, and we're treading water, and one goes in between my legs, and I got spooked. I was like, oh, I'm not ready for them to touch me yet. Feels like sandpaper, just so you know. But that was round one. So after that excursion, we come back to the boat, and they say, okay, now we're going to go swim with reef sharks. And reef sharks, these ones don't eat clams. They eat fish. They have sharp teeth. If they came up, they could get you. You would get really hurt and you could die, right? Like, they're sharks. And some people are like, oh, they're not that big. They're like 6 feet. Well, they're 6 feet fish with really sharp teeth that I was willingly, of my own free will, going to go and experience these sharks. And so they tell you the rules, they tell you what to do and what not to do. One of the rules was you do not let go of the rope. Well, my daughter, she wanted to go out first. Of course she did. And me, not thinking, was like, yeah, I guess I'm getting in the water with these sharks. But I wasn't thinking that I can't let go of the rope. And so we get out there, and I'm holding onto the rope, and I'm like looking at these sharks, and they're probably 30-40 feet down, so they're not close, which, like, that's close enough for me, right? And so, and I'm starting to panic a little bit, but I put my head out of the water, and I'm breathing, and I'm telling myself, like, there are people, we have a guide, they're going to keep us safe, I'm okay. And I get used to it. I become familiar. Nothing has happened yet. I put my face back in the water, and the handlers are still there. Like, our tour guide, they're not really handlers. You don't handle sharks. Anyways, but we have one tour guide who goes down where the sharks are, and he doesn't, like, halfway between us and the sharks. And he's just observing, and he's swimming with them. And I see him, and their sharks aren't bothering him. And so I'm like watching, and I'm getting still a little bit panicky because I'm focused on what could happen, right? Like, it hasn't happened yet, but I'm still a little bit anxious. And so I'm sitting there, and I can't let go. I can't let go, and I can't swim to the boat. Even though my anxiety, I start to feel it rising again, and I want to get out. Like, fight, flight, freeze. I know I can't because it's not safe. They told us if you let go and you start swimming to the boat, what happens is you are swimming. The sharks perceive that as wounded prey. And so they will actually come to you. And I was like, crap, I am stuck in this situation. I am starting to get anxious, even though the sharks are down. One of the sharks came up, and I have a picture of it, but one of the sharks came up probably about 10-ish, maybe 15 feet below me. And so it was coming up, and not like in any aggressive manner, but it was coming closer to me. It was coming closer to me, and I'm like, I can't let go of this rope. I am stuck. I am stuck in a situation that I can't get out of. and I have to breathe through it, and I breathe through it, and the shark goes back down, and I start to relax, and I'm like, okay, my anxiety is starting to go away. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, I'm fine. I'm really okay. Like, they're not even worried about me. And I'm watching them, and I'm watching their body, and I'm watching them swim, and I'm watching the handlers. And I look over, and my daughter Corley, she is having the time of her life. She is loving every minute of this. And I like look down, and I'm like, this is an amazing experience. This is awesome. And through that exposure, I now can swim in water that I can't see the fish beneath me, and I have no problem. So it was that little bit by little bit by little bit by little bit. And now when I went to Hawaii, I swam with other sharks. I don't remember the name, but I swam with other sharks, and I now want to be scuba certified so that I can swim with more sharks and other fish and to have that amazing experience down in the ocean. But seriously, this one time, I just have to say this because it's funny now. But this one time, I was at Bear Lake with my husband, and I'm walking in the shallow water. Shallow water, there's no fish, right? I delude myself at this point. And I think we didn't even have kids, or our kids were little, but we didn't have them. Anyways, it was just me and my husband. And he points and he was like, look at the fish right there. And I start fight, flight, freeze. I start hitting my husband, and I jump on his back, and he is freaking out because he's like, what the heck is going on here? Because I was that scared. And when I was younger, I did the same thing to my brother. We would go and we would slide down this dam that didn't have spikes, anyways, didn't have rebar or anything, but we would slide down this dam and then float down. Anyways, we had a lot of fun. But what happened is we're crossing the dam, and we're in the water, and my brother is like, oh cool, look at the fish right there, and I do the same thing. It was just a reaction. I didn't mean to beat my brother up and jump on his back, but it was the fight, flight, freeze. I was so terrified that I was hitting, and I jumped to get safe because I was so scared. So when I say that I was really afraid of fish, I really was afraid of fish. This one time, one more story and then I'll move on. But this one time, my sister, I really wanted to jump off of this rock, and my sister was with me, and she didn't want to. She was with a boyfriend, and she didn't want to jump off of this rock, but I really wanted to go. So I picked up a big rock, and as big as I could lift, and I pushed it into the water, and I thought that would be enough, but I jumped. And when I hit the water, I almost drowned because I was having a panic attack because of the amount of anxiety that I had. You had to swim to this waterfall to get up. Anyways, but it was bad. It was bad. But now, from exposure after exposure after exposure after exposure, all of a sudden now I'm fine because there's a fact, and now I focus on the positive, which builds my faith that I'm not going to die from carp. And so now I believe it. That creates a feeling. That feeling creates action. Okay? It creates momentum forward. And so, yeah, that is the basic training. I hope this made sense. I hope you liked my stories. I love sharing them. And this is why, let's go back to here. When we feel these things, it is because we are focused on the negative. Okay? That's what's happening, is we're focused on the negative. So how do we, if you feel like you really are broken, how do you fix this? So I want to do my next presentation or continued presentation. How you fix it is I'm going to get a neutral color, just use black. You find areas. You find areas where it's not true, okay, or where it has worked. So I say not true because I'm broken, right? So finding areas where you're not broken. So and examples. So find areas and examples. I did that on purpose because I thought it looked cool. Anyways, so find your areas where you have had success. Yes, success. And you find examples of people who have done it. Others. Okay, so you find where you have had success in the past. It doesn't necessarily have to be with weight loss, but it could be like, yeah, I had success. Like, I'm not broken because I am capable of cooking good meals, or I'm capable of learning how to cook good meals. I am capable of walking. I am capable of taking action. So areas where you can take action, okay? Which action leads to success. So in action, done on purpose this time. Okay. You find success in areas where you have put forth the effort and it has worked. Okay. And then you find the example of others. And then what you can do is create a story. You create a new story. What we're doing is we are programming our head, we're programming our belief, we're letting go of old stories and we're putting in new stories. And what you can do is divide a paper in half and write down your alibis. Okay, and you're going to say, number one, it won't work because da 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 da. Number two, number three, number four. And then on this side, you write down the opposite. So, story that you want, okay? Because when you take action and you create, you can do what I call a to-be list. To-be list. Okay? This is top 3 things that I can count. Top 3 things that I have to do today to make this story become a reality. Okay? So if your alibis are, I don't have enough money, or whatever they are, you look at your beliefs, and if you can do the work to figure out where they came from, that's good, like I did with my grandfather, right? But you find out your excuses, your alibis, the reasons why it won't the reasons why it won't work, and these are from the past. Okay, these are old programming. So our brain is like a computer, but we need to upgrade it. Okay, just like our phones, we have to upgrade our systems, but we don't do that, but we need to. And so the story is the upgraded version. And then when you take the story and you put action to the story, even 2%, that 2%, right? And you do something to reinforce this story, and you look at your alibis, you get rid of these. So tear the paper in half and rip it up and then toss it in the garbage, okay? These are old programmings that we get from our past. They are from our past. They don't have to go into our future unless we let them. So we tear up the alibis, we tear up the excuses, we tear up the blame, we tear up anything that is not serving us. We write our new story, and it can be affirmations. One easy way to do it, if you don't know, is you flip the script here. So if it's like, I'm broken, then your new story is, I can do / accomplish. Okay. I can do things, or I can accomplish weight loss, or I can accomplish whatever it is that your excuse here. Just flip the script, and then you're going to write this, you're going to say this new story 3 times out loud to music. There's a lot of stuff that happens when you play music. It goes into the subconscious faster. I'll just say that because that's a whole nother big, long training. Anyways, so you flip the script, you write your new story. Your brain is going to say, no, that's not true. Because we have said the negative over and over and over and over and over and over and over that it's so repetitive, it's just what we believe. It's not real. It's just the programming has gone on for so long that we are in the habit and pattern of believing the story. But it's not true. Because if it's not true for everybody, then it's not, if it's not a fact, right, then it's not true. Because it's a belief, and we either have faith or we have doubt. Anyways, okay, so we need to let go of our alibis and our excuses, stop blaming and complaining, and start reprogramming your brain, reprogramming your supercomputer. And then as you reprogram the supercomputer, you create a to-do list. This to-do list reinforces, I don't know. You don't have to spell to teach. Anyways, so it reinforces that your story is actually the direction that you want to go. And given time, you do this, you create your to-be list for 21 plus days. 21 plus days to get it through your reticular activating system. So your reticular activating system, it's a file. It looks for proof on why you're right. It also looks for ways to protect you. And so your reticular is called the RAC. I will let you go do your homework on that. So your reticular activating system, or RAS, sorry, RAS. Your reticular activating system, it takes 21 to 30 days for a habit and a story to get through where your brain then accepts that, oh, she's not, or he's not letting go of this. It must be something really important. So the reason why people say that it takes 30 days to create a new habit is because it actually does not take 30 days to create a new habit. It takes 21 to 30 days for it to break through. If your brain is like this and your conscious is here and your subconscious is here, then your RAS is right here. And it takes 21 to 30 days for it to go from your conscious to your subconscious, but it has to pass through this reticular activating system. Okay. When it passes through this reticular activating system, at that point, you keep going, because it actually, for it to become a pattern and a habit, can take up to 1 year. For it to actually adhere, whereas like you do it like you don't even think about it. So the way you brush your teeth, what you do when your alarm clock goes off, uh, the way you eat your food, the way you put on your clothes, the way you do shower, the patterns, our subconscious on our we like patterns. And so we want to reprogram the pattern that's happening so that we don't go into procrastination. We just have to, like, time is a ticking, and it's one the asset that we don't get back, right? And so if you create a story and then put a to be list associated with that story, and you realize that the facts, what you focus on, you end up believing, and we can always, there's always a flip. It's like a coin, right? There's always a positive and there's always the negative. Some people focus on the negative, some people focus on the positive, but it's a neutral. It's what we focus on. So if we take our story and we create a to be list that reinforces our new focus right here, that focus turns into a feeling. That feeling travels into our hearts, and from our hearts to our hands, and all of a sudden we are in action. We are taking action. We are doing the thing that we want to do, even though it feels scary. So it doesn't have to be a big thing, right? Sorry, I hope that didn't feel like I was yelling, but it doesn't have to be a big thing. It only has to be 2% better. Okay, so if you're like, no, I do not like walking, I don't like exercise, I don't like moving, I don't want to do it, stick my nose up in the air, and I'm stubborn, but you also have a story of, my body, I naturally move my body every single day for 20 minutes. If you're not used to 20 minutes, 2% of 20 minutes is point, 10% of 20 minutes is 2 minutes. Okay, so 10% of that is 0.2, then so on and so forth. So you're actually like 0.01. How many more steps is that? I don't know. I'm going to let you guys figure that out. But it's not very much, right? So instead of, if you're at the grocery store, that's too small. If you're at the grocery store, I'll just put like a little house, okay? This is a grocery store, not a house, just so you know. But if you're at the grocery store and you're used to parking, okay? If you're used to parking here, you're used to parking here, and you want to do 2% better, you're going to park halfway, and you're going to walk to the store, right? To the entrance. And then 2% better than that is your maybe 3/4 of the way. Oops, smiley. You're 3/4 of the way, and you're not putting in that much more effort, right? And then all of a sudden, you're 2% better, and you're parking at the back. And then you're 2% better. So instead of taking your groceries all in one load, maybe you take one bag up at a time, or you're used to walking. I don't know, how long is going to the grocery store? Like, it takes maybe 2 minutes to walk from the back to the front, 2 to 5 minutes. Okay, so if you want to do 2% better than that, when you get home, walk to your mailbox 3 times. Walk to blank. Could be the end of the street, could be around the block, could be something 2 times, okay? And then you get the idea. You don't have to do everything all at once. If you're like, oh, I like eat nothing but junk food, if you eat nothing but junk food and your plate looks like, let's say, uh, pizza and a salad, and then over here we have, or not even a salad, drink, okay? And maybe this is cheese pizza and this is pepperoni pizza. Okay, if this is what your pizza night looks like, then maybe what you do is you still have your drink, and then you add a small salad, and then you have your pizza. Okay, and then you do 2% better, and that salad gets bigger. And you do 2% better, and that salad gets bigger. And then you do 2% better, and that salad gets bigger. And then all of a sudden, your plate looks like this. Okay, and then you do 2% better, and you substitute your drink for water, or half and half, or like half water, half, like you do a half a glass of soda and a half a glass of water, or whatever it is. And so you get better and better and better. But crash diets usually look like this. We go from here to here. And then we wonder why we don't succeed. Is because your reticular activating system is like, no. And your emotions are like, this sucks. This is not fun at all. Like, this is not okay. And so, doing extremes by small and simple things are great things brought to pass. Line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. In order to have permanent weight loss, we have to not go from here to here. In my program, I teach you more about balancing and more about this type of a thing, and more emotions, like how to deal with emotions and how emotions are not bad. And it's amazing. And we talk about story, and we talk about to-be lists, and we do all of the things. And I would love to have you in my program. So if you're interested in the weight loss, in learning more about this kind of thing, then I am going to invite you to give me a call. Contact me, claim brilliance. Let me get another piece of paper. So my website is www.claimbrilliance. Oh, not capital, sorry. .cohere.live. It's all one word, no spaces, no dashes, no nothing. This is also small, all lowercase, okay? All lowercase. Claim brilliance at Cohere. No, not at Cohere. Claimbrilliance.cohere.live. And you can fill out an application to work with me. And I would love that. So if you want to finally let go of procrastination, if you want to finally learn how the brain works, if you want to finally move forward and my goal is to give you enough tools to make health, weight loss, a permanent solution. I'm not into the fad diets. I'm not into take out carbs, take out brownies, take out pizza. Sorry, there is room for all things in your life. And I want to give you the tools to know when and how and where and what and all of the things to make it so that it is a lifelong journey. It's a lifelong permanent weight loss. And it deals with more than just our beliefs. It's beliefs, behaviors, emotions, habits and patterns, and all of the things, education, knowledge, skills, all of those things I can help you with. I can help you with. And so I invite you, go to claimbrilliance.cohere.live and fill out the application and let's chat. I would love that. So I hope you liked this. I hope it was beneficial. I'm going to give you homework because that's what I do. I'm going to have you go and do this. I'm going to have you go and actually implement, because knowledge without action, you might as well not have spent the time doing, like listening to me chat your ear off and tell stories and stuff, right? Because you just wasted your time if you don't do anything with it. So I am going to go and have you write down what stops you, write down a new story, create a to-be list, and implement that to-be list 1 week. Just 1 week. And if you find that you miss a day, start over. 1 week. 1 week straight. And when you can do 1 week straight, do 1 week and 1 day straight. And when you can do that in a row, 1 week and 2 days. And reinforce your new story by creating your to-be list. Remember, it doesn't have to be 10 things long. If you can only commit to making your bed every single day, there's a lot to be said about self-worth and keeping the promises that you make to yourself. Last story. I am a person that feels like their value, one of my highest values is self-worth, is integrity. Sorry, I had to think of the word. Integrity. And I told you that I would do something. I was there. To the best of my ability, I was there. Well, one day I woke up and the night before I had gone to bed and I was like, tomorrow I'm going to start walking, or tomorrow I'm going to exercise, or tomorrow I'm going to do something with my health. And I remember waking up and I was like, oh, I said I would, but I don't want to. And then the spirit, or my higher power, or whatever it is for you, the Holy Ghost for me, the Holy Ghost actually told me, you have integrity to everybody else but yourself. And it took me back. And I realized that was right. That was right. I would say I would start tomorrow for years. I'll do that thing tomorrow. I'll be more consistent starting tomorrow. And sometimes I would even wake up out of bed and I'm like, okay, today's the day. And then life would happen. Kids would come, husband needed to eat, house was dirty, all of the things, my life happened. And I realized the day had slipped away and I didn't keep my promise to myself. And at that point, I was super depressed. I was super, like, my self-esteem, I felt like I had no worth. Self-worth, right? Like I knew that other people, like I was a benefit to other people, but to myself, mm-mm. To myself, I was like, you're a failure. Like, what did you do today? What did you do? Like, you said you were going to do all this stuff, and I'm just a loser. I'm just a loser because I didn't have self-integrity. And then I started doing these things and keeping promises to myself. And my health didn't necessarily improve, but my sense of self-worth improved because I was all of a sudden doing what I said I was going to do. I was all of a sudden making my bed every day. I was all of a sudden brushing my teeth and combing my hair and getting dressed. I was all of a sudden making sure that I went outside and got some fresh air. And I was keeping appointments to myself. Keeping appointments to myself and keeping promises that I had said that I would do to myself. And so I would do those things, but I was still heavy and I was still struggling with my weight and stuff, but my self-worth, how I felt about myself, I felt capable. I felt like I could move forward. I felt like, yes, this area of my life isn't fantastic and I wish it were better, but I'm broken. Like my system's broken, my metabolism's broken. I can't lose weight because I'm broken, but I feel better about myself. And I know that, da 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 da. Anyways. And so keeping promises to yourself and having that self integrity, if you say you're going to do something, you have to follow through, because if you don't, your self-esteem and your sense of self-worth will diminish. So I say sense of self-worth because your worth is so great that nobody can diminish it. We can't even diminish how much worth we have. Okay? We can't. We can't sell it. We can't give it away. We can't change it in any way. We have worth. However, you can feel like your sense of self-worth. And that's what it is a sense. It's what you perceive, your perception. Your perception of what your worth can change. Your value can't change. Just like a penny that gets run over and thrown in the mud and stomped on and puked on and all of the things, if you take that penny, you can still spend it as a penny. No matter what life has thrown at it, the worth is still there, and that's you, and that's me. But all of the circumstances can make us feel like we're not worth that. It can make us seem like we're not worth it. And so, first of all, I want you to know that your worth is infinite. Your sense of self-worth can improve. That happens when we tell ourselves a new story, we adhere to a new belief, we tell ourselves a story, even when it feels make-believe, we repeat it. And you do this for 21 days. What is your mind telling you? What terrible things is your mind telling you? And what's the new story? And what behaviors do you need to implement to reinforce that new story? All right. I hope you guys found value. Please contact me again if you want to work with me at claimbrilliance.cohere.live. And there is an application. Go ahead and fill out the application and let's get started. Yay! I'm super excited and I hope to talk to you soon. I will talk to you later. Bye.